little two-parter.
Yep.
Guys, welcome back to Common Ground. We're doing it. It's 12:41 our time in Los Angeles.
I mean, what are we even doing anymore, you know?
Honestly, it's all in a simulation. But guys, right now it's Common Ground. I'm Rachel LaForce.
I'm Alex Gettlin.
And this is the podcast where, in the world full of red team, blue team, we're all just trying to find a little bit
Of
you
our
guessed
team.
it. Nope, common ground. Not our team, Alex. Common ground.
I'm my team from now on.
I'm still trying to recruit people to the No Bullshit Party.
I wish you the best of luck with this endeavor. Hey, so did you hear that a bunch of stores now are letting us go mask free?
I did.
If you're
TJ's.
fully vaxxed.
Okay, so really quick. So a couple of things I want to talk about in this next. Okay, number one, has comedy gone to die? I really want to know because I don't actually believe that, but I was realizing I haven't had the energy to go to open mics. Number one, I'm so fucking tired that I'm I can't. But also I'm I cannot hear anyone else's hot take on COVID or the masks or whatever.
Sure.
Even if it's funny, I'm just I can't. There's no way that you can compete with the government, or the government.
There's government sanctioned comedy. That's coming for sure.
Oh.
When they start telling us what jokes are approved by Biden and Fauci and all that shit.
I just imagined that government sanctioned comedy just means that they have hired comics that work at different government agencies.
That's funny.
So every time you go to the DMV, there's somebody out there and they're what's the deal?
Boo.
Woo, baby.
I sent you a video.
She's got it.
Speaking of TJ Maxx, I sent you a video on Instagram of, did you see that? Oh, it was so funny. I forget who it was. Let me find it because I want to give this comic credit. And he was doing this hilarious sketch of just being a basic white woman going through.
A TJ Maxx?
Yeah. Trey Kennedy is his name. Follow this guy. He's really funny on Instagram. He's got 2.5 million followers, so he's legit. But he had part of his sketch of going through TJ Maxx. The whole thing was little different cut segments. One of them's finding the deal is something when compared to Indiana Jones. But the funniest thing he said was he said TJ Maxx is if a Goodwill was in a gated community.
Oh, that's funny.
Right?
That's very funny.
Yeah.
It's very true.
But he started, he's I have my sister's wedding this weekend, so I'm just going to find a dress here. And and then it was the journey of trying to find the deal, find the sale in TJ Maxx.
Oh, that's so funny. But that's why, as a white woman, I love a good TJ Maxx.
You do.
Because I love the thrill of the hunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's how men feel about you guys.
We're all just walking through a TJ Maxx.
Looking for who can we bone? You know what's funny? I did read an article. I don't feel that way, but I did read an article that there's a huge uptick in the Gen Zers and even some millennials just not being into sex anymore. They're yeah, not into it.
What do you mean?
Because they're so all the mechanics of how hookup culture has gone so meaningless now that they're just not even interested. It's everybody just wants to masturbate and stick to online stuff because the effort it takes to go out and do things in person is forget it.
Well, dating is different than having sex. Those sound like two different things.
Well, I think it's kind of together. This one article I was reading about, they interviewed a bunch of guys who just they're yeah, I have sex whenever, but it kind of has become an effort where I don't know, it's just.
Oh, shocker. A dude doesn't want to put effort into getting laid. Yeah, I don't think that's news. I'm pretty sure that's
I think dudes used to put a lot of effort into getting laid, and now they're with the, I don't know. Anyway, it was just a tangent. But so anyway, my point is, TJ Maxx, Walmart, Starbucks, all these stores are going to go mask free for the vaccinated. The question is, how do you know who's vaxxed? The better question is, who cares?
TJ Maxx, you don't have to wear. Here's why I'm excited about not having to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I can't breathe with one on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely when the few times, pretty much the only places that I've, I feel like a TLC song of just sticking to the rivers and the lakes that I'm used to. You feel me? And so I basically go to Trader Joe's and then the Target around the street from our house.
Yeah.
And you know me.
Sure.
Such a rule follower.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm no, of course, I wouldn't dare try to go into one of those places without a mask. But I finally just started to pretend to be now I'm realizing maybe these people, they weren't stupid in wearing their masks. incorrectly. They just
Right.
actually couldn't breathe, so just put it below their nose. Because that's what I started doing. I'm like, who is going to approach the wildly pregnant woman and be like, ma'am, you need to adjust your mask? And
Oh,
so
right. Yeah.
if there's nobody in my aisle, I'll take it off, like, or just like put it to my chin because
Totally.
I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I cannot breathe.
Well, the dumbest thing was the restaurants where it was like you were supposed to put it on when you got up from your table, as if like walking to the bathroom with the mask on did anything. And that to me, when it felt peak ridiculous.
That's also when everybody lost me.
Yeah.
Because, the pandemic is also, it's kind of felt like a sitcom that just went on for too long.
More like the Blandemic, am I right?
But do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I feel it's like, okay, we had all of our characters in play. It was like a political drama. It was like, okay, I'm really invested. And then we jumped the shark as soon as it was like restaurants were open. You have to wear a mask, but then you don't have to wear one at your table. That is not like it just was so blatantly obvious that we're a bunch of dumb humans that were trying to figure out how to manipulate, like, oh, we're all still being safe. But then, like, and I'm not shitting on people who genuinely, like, obviously, I want people to be healthy. I want people to, businesses to be able to open. Like, hopefully you've listened to me enough that you know that, and I don't have to preface every single freaking thing I ever say for the rest of my life now. But, you kind of do feel that way. Like, if you don't have a disclaimer to, like, every opinion you have, I feel like everyone's going to just, come for you.
They'll do that anyway. You might as well just have the opinions.
But
everybody comes for everything now.
I know. It's exhausting. Aren't other people tired? Do they not work? That's the thing.
Too many people aren't working.
I think that's the problem. People, actually, that's really interesting, though, jokes aside. I do wonder if that has also been the insurgence of so much conflict, back and forth, yelling on social media. People don't have anything else to do.
Well, duh. And people are just painfully boring, especially like you and I mean, I know it's a little bit hypocritical to say that because we're on a podcast pontificating on our opinions.
Sure. Well, but you and I we're always right.
But at least we have like passions that we're dedicating our lives to. I feel like and not everybody needs to have a passion that they I mean, I understand, like, plenty of people don't want to roll the dice how we have and like just now barely starting to make some okay financial security for ourselves after
you hear that, baby? I'm 35 and I'm just getting started.
After like our two combined decades trying this path, just now being able to like, okay, yeah, this could actually work out. You know what I mean? I do.
Dude, talk about playing the long game.
I do.
But I didn't go to school for theater because I thought it was going to be easy. I mean.
But what I'm saying is I totally get. I think it's a couple things, actually. I think it's partly we're not just. I mean, any psychologist or anyone who understands like anthropology and the human mind, we're not supposed to interact the way we do on the internet. It's not good. It's not healthy. That's not how it's meant to be. We're not wired for that. But even more so, I do wonder, because we have a generation of kids who were drugged up all through their childhood on like Ritalin and all that shit. I gotta think that's had an effect on how they process like their emotions and complicated feelings and energies as an adult. Right? It has to.
I mean, maybe. I think we're just seeing in real time our lack of talking about our emotions, our lack of taking personal responsibility. I think we're seeing, when technically 4 different generations of people are existing all at once and they all have access to the internet, you're also seeing that.
Well, and
I mean,
this is the first time in history, really, in the past like maybe 10, 20 years. I've said this before, and this is not my original thought. But it's bizarre that we have, with technology and phones and the internet, that young people can now outsmart old people. It always used to be that the older you were, the wiser you were.
But that's even about like marketing. I mean, I think about that. It's like, what was I watching? I think it was about the really great documentary on Hulu about Nickelodeon. So I encourage you to watch it if you're a 90s kid. But I didn't realize, like, prior to Nickelodeon, you didn't have like kids shows. Like that wasn't a thing. There was like maybe like
It's not true. My parents talk about like Felix the Cat was like,
there was like comics or like
you didn't
Looney
have kid
Tunes,
networks,
but you didn't have
channels dedicated to kids.
Yeah, you had Saturday morning cartoons,
Right.
and that was it.
Interesting.
I mean,
And now we sell ads to children all the time.
and now that's all. It's the number one thing. I mean, that's when you think about TikTok. It's like the
Yeah.
majority of the people who are making money there and thrive. I mean, that's what I was thinking about. It's like all these stars that are like 17 years old and have 32 million fans. Like, what is that gonna do to these kids? Like
It's
psychologically,
going to traumatize them.
like that's not.
I also just wonder, like, if you're growing up in a world where you always put filters on your face digitally, that's got to mess up the psychology of how you view yourself in the real world.
Oh, dude, 100%, 100%.
Like if we have a son, so I got to think about all the things that affect him. But if we have a daughter, God willing, we might at some point, you and I are going to have to figure out how to teach her, like, hey, you are beautiful and you have value. And
well, hopefully she just will be really beautiful, and then I'll have to remind her that like there are other things that she's worthy of too. I feel like that path is easier than having like, a moderately attractive daughter and having to constantly be like, well, actually I take that back, because I'll say the majority of the women I know that actually struggle the most with body image issues are the hottest women I know. And I remember
yeah, that
when
makes sense because their value is probably rooted
100%.
in. Yeah.
I was talking about that with a friend the other day, and she made a couple of other comments about her weight, and to me, like, she's looks incredible. And all of a sudden it clicked for me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I think you've got, I mean, not that I was like psychoanalyzing her, but just in that moment where I was like, oh, I think there's like some eating issues here. I mean, and find me a woman who doesn't have eating issues, okay?
I know they're so picky, right? I'm just kidding.
But the
you ever taken one to a restaurant?
Oh gosh, what do I order? Okay,
you order the most complex. You're always like to the server, like, "Hi, my friend. Okay, I'm gonna apologize now. This is gonna be complicated. Okay, so we're gonna get half of the menu with everything removed in clockwise order and then replay." It's like, dude, just pick a thing. It's fine. Do you have a spouse or a partner who makes ordering food complicated? Please, at Alex Gettlin, let me know, because my wife, whatever the cost is, it's no bearing. How much is the avocado? I'll mortgage my house. It's fine. Let's just add it on. Double. I won't eat it. I'll have a bite, and then have my husband will eat it.
The problem is I like a lot of different flavors on the plate at once. Yeah. And I think it's because you and I don't go out.
You're like a queen at a feast, Oh, how these peasants only have one flavor at a time. Give me all the decadent flavors of the kingdom.
But
do you realize how silly that sounds? I can't handle not having every flavor at once. That is what you're saying. You can't handle having a meal that might slightly not have every flavor you want in that moment.
Yeah, I like salty and sweet. I don't know.
Butterscotch pudding, baby. That's the best combo of salty and sweet in my book.
Oh, I love it.
And creme brulee.
Oh, God. How good is creme brulee?
If I was a drag queen, I would call myself femme brulee.
Oh, I thought you were going to say creme brulee. I like that one.
Oh, creme brulee could work. Wait, I had another question for you.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that's probably when you made my dad laugh the most, was when you commented about how I order food. And he got such a kick. Hi, can I, hey, love. He always makes fun of me because I call people that.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad and I are friends, dude.
Oh, my God.
Do you think there will ever be a time where we're not exhausted?
No.
And I mean that collectively, by the way. I don't even mean you and I specifically. I mean,
no. I think rest, I can feel myself struggling with it already. Because I know, I know I should just stop working already. Like, I know my body has hit,
for good, you're done. You're retiring at 35.
This is my swan song, moderate success, and I'm done. No, I think that's why I'm not surrendering to just resting full time until Jonah's here.
Yeah.
Because, and it's all ego. Because I'm like, I know you were trying to be funny, and now I'm giving you a real answer.
It's fine.
But
the last episode was very unfunny, so.
But I know that on a soul level, like, I hear being like, you've already put all this stuff into work. It's literally like 3 to 6 months, dude. We're not saying for the next 4 years, like 3 to 6 months. Nurture a couple of other things and lay low and just rest and
Well,
take
I don't know.
care.
A lot of people seem to make you think, oh, you'll never have free time again.
Okay, well, let me just
Right?
Let me put a pin in that.
I know plenty of moms and dads who have free time and enjoy their life and do cool stuff.
But that's the thing. Hold on. Okay, so that's a different thing. What I know, because I'm so tired all the time, and I know you're tired because I've been so tired. You've had to take on the bulk of our work with highly unlikely, right?
It is.
So
it's really
I feel
me.
I feel like I've still been working all the time.
Dude, I collapsed yesterday. Like I was in bed and I literally just.
I know. I came in and your whole body was sweating. I was like, "Sir, are you okay?" And you just get up and you're like, "I need a towel." And then like,
Yeah,
you
ew.
like laid back down. And you're like, "Can you put a towel on me?" Then I just like laid a towel on you and you slept for like another 30 minutes and then like. Got like when you wake up from a deep sleep, it's like a bear.
Yeah.
It just
You call me your beluga bear.
You are.
Me and Jonah are gonna take naps together.
Oh, just two sweaty little babies.
Think of him laying on me.
I can't. I have so many hormones. It'll genuinely make me cry, and that's not funny. I'm
gonna have fun with him. He's gonna love toots and stuff like that. It'd be so funny. Hey, Daddy.
Oh gosh,
And then you're gonna be so annoyed.
Well, I'm gonna be like, honey, you just. But how do you teach a kid if like tooting's funny at our house? Don't other people don't find it funny? And they'll be like, I don't understand. How do other people not think it's funny? I'm like, well, welcome to the world of being a comedian. There's a lot of things that I think are hilarious. Turns out, lots of people don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm in this phase where I'm like, I know I'm already supposed to be slowing down, and my ego keeps getting in the way. Where I'm like I keep trying to make all these compromises with myself. Like even yesterday, I was like, okay, I need to just slow down and take a bath. Like my body's exhausted, so I take a bath, and then I'm like, okay, but what can I do from bed? So then I'm like, well, I should definitely start this other pilot I've been wanting to write, and then I just crank out 10 pages of that pilot, and it's like. I know, real talk, that it's like I am so scared of not knowing what the next couple months look like. Not that we're not going to like crush it, but then also like it's going to be hard. Duh. I know it's going to be hard. We're taking care of a newborn.
But everything hard, I was going to say everything hard is worthwhile. That's false. But everything worthwhile is hard.
That's true. A Tough Mudder is not worth it.
But anything worthwhile is tough. Nothing. That's why, how proof of this. Look at like kids who grew up as billionaires. They're miserable.
No, I 100%. I mean, my favorite quote. Cue it up. Tommy Hanks in A League of Their Own.
Oh, yeah.
And she's ready to quit and walk away. And she was like, it just got too hard, or it just got too tough. And he's like,
tough is what makes this movie worth watching.
Well, no, it's just like the hard is what makes it good. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And, it's like, I know that it's going to be very difficult, but I also feel like you and I have made the space to welcome it. It's just mostly where I'm like, I don't know what it looks like yet. And that for me is difficult because I'm like, I'm a planner, I'm a producer. I see see things so far in the future. It's like, I'm probably like I wrote down the other day, it was like, don't overthink it, just do it. Like that, which I was like, that has to be my mantra for the next couple months of like,
Sure.
Don't overthink it, just do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, just do it.
Just Nike that shit.
I suppose.
Just do it. That's their slogan.
I know.
Remember that show we watched, Love, Death, and Robots?
I do.
What do you think of it? It's on Netflix, by the way. If you guys like kind of cool, weird animation stuff.
Well, I want to watch the first season because what's funny is
We started with the second season.
in one of the episodes I said that guy reminds me of Ski. Shout out to Ski, who I love so much.
You think he listens to our podcast?
Probably not, but he was so impressed when I told him that I had a podcast.
That impressed him? Just having a podcast?
He was very impressed, which was nice because you don't meet anybody in Los Angeles that is impressed that you have a podcast.
I feel like saying I have a podcast now is like when people in the 90s were like, I'm in a band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, especially now because I would almost identify as a podcaster, which, oof, you know what I mean? What a title to give yourself. But when you have more than one,
well, let me ask you this.
you're a podcaster.
Let me ask you this, because now when people say, well, what do you do? I feel like, I mean, I still say comedian, but I wonder if producer is a more accurate title for what we do, or for what I do at least. A comic producer?
What you do? You don't think I produce things?
No, you do. I'm just saying myself is like how because like you identify also as a writer. Like I'm not really a writer. I like dabbling in acting, but I'm not really an actor.
I would say you're a comedian producer, 100%.
Yeah, host, I guess. I would like to act again, but I just want to get offered like fun little roles in, like
He just wants to get offered roles. Do you hear that, Hollywood?
But no, what I'm saying is I don't care that much about, like, if I never act again, I don't care.
Sure, you don't need a theatrical agent for
I love
auditioning.
hosting and doing comedy. But I would love to be like tough guy number 3 in like whatever the next Idris Elba thing is. Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure, real small asks. Yeah, just want to be a tough guy in the next Idris Elba thing. You know what I mean?
I'm not conveying
Super
this
easy.
properly.
Wait, did you hear on Chappelle when he was on Rogan and he talked about that he used to buy weed from?
Yeah, he was security at Caroline's and he sold weed to Dave Chappelle.
I think that might have been my favorite tidbit from the episode. I'm only halfway done.
Pretty
but
funny, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of that episode?
I think it's great. I love Dave Chappelle. I really do. I've said this before. I don't think he's a comedian. I think he's a philosopher.
Yeah, well,
And
they're not mutually exclusive.
I mean, to me, I think when you're doing comedy, right? But that's just my type of comedy that I like. But I think
Well, the word comedy is like music. I mean, it's infinitely unique in all the different avenues.
yeah, I'm just finding now, like,
What are you finding, Rach? Tell us.
how bored I am by most people's comedy,
Okay.
which I hesitated to say that because I feel like people
Sounds
are like,
very pompous,
exactly. That would thank you so much.
but that's okay.
But
we still love you.
But I am, because most people don't tell me anything about who the fuck they are. They're like, oh, here's like a funny joke I wrote. That's great. Then you're a joke writer. You're not a comedian. To me, they're two different things. To me, like to me, comedy is a performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's an investment. It's more than one note. And I mean, dude, and hats off to joke writers who can sit down and like, you've got an hour, give me 25 jokes, and can churn that out and turn on and be like, boom, here you are. That's a struggle for me. And
Yeah.
I've been doing this for over a decade. So those are mad skills, and I'm not like here to shit on them. But I just feel like I've struggled so much with my comedic voice over the last, year and a half, 2 years of like, am I funny anymore? Do I trust what I have to say? Do people give a shit about what I have to say?
Yeah. I think you're funny. I mean, I'm obviously biased because I married you, but I think you're funnier than most people on the planet. It's just that what your brain was starting to think is what comedy's supposed to be was through the lens of the LA open mic pop-up show scene.
Yeah, and it fucked me up. And it still does. Like I still get like nervous. I was thinking about this the other day because I don't know, I must have been like thinking about Second City or something, and like I appreciate you saying that. That's very nice.
Took her long enough. I'm just kidding.
But no, but I had that thought where I was like, wait a minute. Why have I ever questioned like how funny I am? Like, I will question a lot of things about myself, okay? Like, there's a lot. It's all up for debate. But like,
you know what it is? You're more interesting than you are funny, but you're still very funny.
well, I think it's that, and I think I also had to go in and explore this whole other side of me and really figure out what it is in order to now go, cool, now I know what I want to talk about. And then it's like I write it down first and I'm like, how do I make this funnier? How do I make it funnier? How do I make it more relatable? And I think like hitting that part now, I think that's where that ego is popping in, where I'm like, wait a minute. So now I've actually begun to really fucking figure it out. And now I'm headed into like a hibernation with me and Jonah. And I know that sounds selfish and whatever, judge it for whatever you want. It's not that I'm like not stoked to like bond with my baby, and I'm honestly a little scared about how much I'm gonna love this person. Like I'm can feel that I'm headed for like this huge transformation, and it's almost like too overwhelming. Like I don't really know what to do with it. But there is this part of me, and I just have to keep remembering like everything that's happened to me over the last 3 years has happened exactly at the time that it's supposed to. So even though I feel like I'm ready to get back out there and like take like the stage and everything like that by storm, it's also like maybe there's one more thing that we have to teach you. Like don't rush through this part because your ego thinks that you know better and you're supposed to be doing all these things.
Sure.
Like trust that this is the perfect time for you to rest before you go like full speed ahead.
Sure. I get that.
But yeah, I just like have had this huge like I don't know, like just want to focus on the funny again, I guess.
Speaking of funny, not really funny, but just interesting on something I think you'll have an opinion on. So have you been seeing all these things coming out about Bill Gates and why he and Melinda split?
Well, yeah, that's almost like hashtag old news now. You know what I mean?
Well, it was at first that it was a combination of things that apparently he was not only like it was his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that really upset her, but then also apparently he was like doing like weekend getaways with one of his old girlfriends. Did you hear about this?
But wasn't that a clause that was like in their?
How weird are they? I mean, that's the thing. When you're that wealthy and just something, I don't know, man. You watched that Bill Gates documentary. What's your read on that guy?
I think he lives a very isolated life because his brain works so much faster than everybody else's. I think that he's pompous, but of course he is because
He's Bill Gates.
Or not even
we need
like
some chill Gates. You know what I mean?
Who would be Chill Gates? Who would that be?
Just if Bill Gates smoked weed.
Oh, okay, that'd be funny. He probably should. He should chill out a little bit.
If Bill Gates,
Chill Gates is a great name for a strain of weed.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh man, I will say now that we're like I'm becoming.
Wait, is naming strands of cannabis like the same job, like equivalent as like naming nail polishes?
I don't know. Let's Google that. How do they name cannabis strains?
I mean, people just like pick something. It's not like, I mean, do you have to be qualified for that as a copywriter? Can I just like try to get that job?
Well, I'm gonna guess you didn't have to be. No, there's what? There's no like Cannabis Incorporated council that like decides.
I don't know. There could be.
All right. Well, let's look it up.
There
How
could
do they
be.
name strains of cannabis?
I'm interested to see. Well, why you look that up? I mean, I think that he certainly, Bill Gates, he doesn't operate in the same world that we do. And I think the romantic relationship that he had or continues to have to a certain extent with Melinda is probably the most normal that he was ever able to participate in.
That makes sense.
But I think, and I'm sure to a certain extent, like she's incredibly bright too. I'm sure she knew like to a certain extent of like what she was getting herself into as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're signing a document with somebody else of like disclaimers of your romantic partnership, I feel like that's a red flag, I feel, or at least a yellow one.
Yeah. I would agree.
Just like hey, don't be shocked if this doesn't work out. Okay.
You want to read this?
Yeah. People also ask, where do cannabis strains names come from? Did I just read that right? I feel like I just had a stroke. Where do cannabis strain names come from?
Sounds like a limerick.
It does. It's very difficult to say. Whether the weather is hot, whether the weather is cold, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. Oh, guys, I went to school for theater. Here we go. Variety names are typically chosen by their growers and often reflect properties of the plant, such as taste, color, smell, or the origin of the variety. The cannabis strains referred to in this article are primarily those varieties with recreational and medicinal.
Well, this has another little bit more of an answer.
Okay. Some strains were named for their unique aromas: skunk, lavender, diesel, while others were named for icons of the cannabis community. I don't know who Jack Herer is.
Jack Herer. That's like a famous strain of cannabis. I think he was some famous person in the cannabis zeitgeist.
Okay. And then Willie Nelson, which is hilarious. A vast array of fruit-inspired strains: blueberry, lemon, OG. Lemon OG. Because I was like, what flavor is OG? Strawberry cough. Oh, no thanks. Reflects the fascinating variety. Okay. So for a variety of things. Okay.
Yeah. So sounds like you're right. That basically if you grow a strain, then you get to name it. I also wonder, like, when they say like this, the funny thing is I learned this recently, like there isn't like an agreed upon way that they like describe what like there's science between sativa and indicas, like that's like a thing you can like test, but when they describe like the kind of high that you get, there's not like a science to that. They just have people smoke it and then like describe it and they just say that's what it is.
Yeah, that's like when people tell you about red wine. I'm
Dude,
like, this, you know.
Yeah, wine, to me, it's wine, bro. I don't taste, oh, you're going to have hints of chocolate and leather with blueberry and... Was that shit in there? No, you're making it up. It doesn't taste like any of that. It tastes like wine.
Well, especially because the majority of people who go to do wine tastings are bachelorette parties. You know what I mean? Like...
I guess. I always think of, like, boring, rich white people.
Yeah, those too. But I'm talking about like when you go and do like a wine tasting where like people are getting hammered. Like you're supposed to spit it back into something and then do a palate cleanser.
What a waste.
And then like do the next one.
I don't know if I've ever done like a formal wine tasting.
I
would say we should go, but you're sober.
Yeah.
Also, I don't need to go.
I mean, it's
I
like
would love to do a wine tasting, but like that equivalent, but with hits of strains of weed.
That sounds like a headache. That sounds so awful.
Boo.
I will say wine is kind of one of the only drinks that I miss.
No, you've told me you miss a good beer.
That's true.
And you said there's like whiskeys that you miss. I've heard you reference them.
Guys, maybe I should just relapse just today. I'm stepping out.
I think you just don't miss the obvious ones like Goldschlager and Jägermeister.
Well, I think I just don't miss being drunk.
Yeah. I don't either.
I don't at all.
You know what it is for me? Now, if I want to get drink with my friends, I have to like plan the next like 18 hours.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. But I definitely miss the unfulfilled promise of like 2 beers on a patio, you know? Because I know me, and I know it's not just 2 beers. It's going to start as 2 beers, and then it's a pack of cigarettes. And then it's 2 more beers, and then it's now we're having fun. We should go somewhere else, and then you know,
cocaine, and who else knows what shows up? You know.
No, that was not. Luckily, I didn't have that kind of money, so
right.
you know, it's
Unfulfilled Promise sounds like if it was like a romance novel. You know, like Unfulfilled Promise, a romance novel by Rachel LaForce.
Maybe I could get into romance novels. I also, you know,
God, there must be comedy romance novels of some sort, right?
I mean, isn't that just what like 50 Shades of Grey was? Because that was hilarious.
The funniest thing I never read that. I only vaguely know like the premise, but I saw somebody break down like the most fucked up thing about that movie is because I guess he was like super into like S&M and dominating women and stuff, but because he was a billionaire, it was sexy. But if it was like a poor guy who had like a studio apartment, it would just be like a monster.
Yeah. I also don't know if those movies and books would do well in the culture that we have now.
How quickly things change.
I don't think they would. I don't think they would do well. Couple things I want to return back to because we abandoned them.
Mm-hmm.
Love, Death, and Robots.
Yep.
We need to go back. And Bill Gates.
So what do you think about Love, Death, and Robots? Because you watched 3 episodes. It's pretty. To me, it's like if Pixar and Black Mirror made a show together.
Well, I feel like I can't judge it because it's an anthology. I feel like I need to watch all of them.
Let's do it.
But it was funny because I had said, "Oh, that guy reminds me of Ski," and then in Ski's stories yesterday, it was like, "What are you guys thinking about season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots?"
Oh, he's into it.
And I
used to screenshot the image, and you're like, "Ski, is this you?"
I know, and I want to be like, I just mentioned that I thought this guy reminded me of you. So that was all I had to say on that.
Guys, if you want to get some great Japanese barbecue, or no, Japanese, what is the type of?
It's Japanese barbecue.
Japanese barbecue. Head over to Gikaku in Santa Monica. Ask for Ski. He's not a server, but he will greet you as the friendly manager. Great guy.
Oh, he really did make that job bearable.
Yeah.
I really did like him a lot. Well, he's still with us. I don't know why I'm saying.
The worst part was the clientele, right?
That's why the service industry sucks. Mm-hmm. I enjoy like the fast pace of serving and bartending because I'm so ADD. There's always something to do.
Sure.
So my brain thrives in those environments, which is why as like a side hustle, I was always able to handle it to a certain extent. But it's also easier in your 20s.
It would be really hard to go back to one of those jobs now.
And
Now
it's
that we've
also
made,
easier when I was drinking.
yeah,
Because that's the other thing. Like, after we would close and everybody would, like, pour themselves drinks, and then they don't care if they don't get out right away because they're drinking and hanging out with their friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I want to go home and, like, be with my fiance. Like, I want to get out of here, you know?
well, you know, and then you would come home and I would just be stoned on the couch.
Yep.
Hey, better that than me out drinking somewhere.
That's true.
Or so I would be at shows a good amount.
Yeah. Well, and then that's weird now too, where I've forgotten about that, and I've had to, like, make some adjustments within myself, because you'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go." Excuse me, pregnant. And you'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go out and, like, catch this show tonight, or I'm gonna catch this show tonight." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." I got so used to just
COVID times.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost done with all this nonstop editing of Highly Unlikely, and then my plan is, if all goes accordingly, is just get that. Well, aside from taking care of my baby son when he's here, is when the nights when we can rotate, and I have my nights, I'm gonna be out back in the scene grinding. Gotta be telling these jokes.
Gotta slang these jokes, bro. Well, gosh. And I'll
Gotta
tell you
tell
what.
the jokes for the wokes and for the non-wokes, because I
Okay,
don't discriminate.
Well, don't let anybody hear this, because they won't think that's very funny.
Well, that's because they're woke, and you can't have a sense of humor when you're woke. Everything
Did
is
you
serious.
hear that people are trying to go after the word woke now? They're trying to not have this as a word?
Of course, because they don't. Well, it came into popularity from Erykah Badu. It was an Erykah Badu. Well, it really came even before that. It's been in literature off and on. But Erykah Badu had a song in 2008. You know who that is, right? The singer.
Of course I know who Erykah Badu is.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I forget the name of the song, but she had it like in a lyric to a song, and that was like the most modern reference of what we know it to be now. And then, of course, like with everything, like black people made it cool, white people heard it, they wanted to make it cool for them, and so now is that what they're saying? Don't use woke because we appropriated it from black people?
No, I think it's just that it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, nothing means anything anymore. This is the cycle of everything. Everything goes through this thing because it had meaning, and then everybody co-opted it, and now it's meaningless. It's the same thing as being triggered. Doesn't mean anything anymore. All these terms, because we as collectively run them into the ground because that's what we do. I've said this before, and I'll stick by it. The catalyst.
Here we go.
The catalyst of all of this was when we elected Donald Trump president. Politics and views aside, just when he became the commander-in-chief of the United States, it was the first thing of like, oh, everything is ridiculous. It's just a matter of when we get there. But everything that is quote-unquote important, sacred, whatever, it has a shelf life. The American presidency ended with him in terms of that being that revered or whatever.
Well, I think what it's done, that if we choose to look at the way that the world is right now, I think the good thing that it does is it does show it highlights the absurdities of what we participate in.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully what that would do is ask people to ask themselves, what the fuck do I actually care about? What opinions do I have?
I'll tell you what I think.
I'm still telling you what I think.
But I'm going to tell you what I think.
I'm here, not surprised. That's what I would hope, that by this heightened reality, that everybody would be able to go, oh, so nothing actually fucking matters anymore, because we'll make a big deal out of anything and then we'll let it go away. And then we'll make a huge deal out of it and then it'll go away. Like, basically, like, so when we were first getting really serious and I was renegotiating a lot of the relationships in my life, and I would get really triggered by something that somebody did, and you go, why in the world would you be affected by that if you know that all this person's going to do is make a huge deal out of something and then let it go, and then make a huge deal out of something and then let it go? That's their pattern. Why would you be surprised by that? So I feel like on a collective scale, that's what we're seeing of, like, that's not to say, kind of like our previous episode where I was like, it's not to say that I don't care anymore about big things, but I know now what I care about.
Yeah.
And I know to the extent of how much of it I want to participate with online.
Sure.
And how much I actually want to invest of those changes in my life, my day-to-day life.
Makes sense.
Because the internet is fake and it doesn't fucking matter. And even if it's like, well, it does because we have the ability to influence people and blah, blah, blah.
Wow, you sounded like Seinfeld just there.
That's, well, I was John Lennon. That was my John Lennon impression.
Oh, they are kind of similar.
What's the deal with TikTok?
That just sounded like a bear.
Yeah, it's if John Lennon and Jerry Seinfeld turned into a bear.
Oh, okay. I think you should keep working on that and put it on stage. I think people will really like it.
It's over.
But that's what I hope, is that people will kind of reroute and ask themselves what,
Didn't you have an event called Reroute that you did?
it was a women's event. Yeah. And yeah, we made succulents.
What a time.
It was fun.
I was there.
I was thinking about this because in your episode 7 of Highly Unlikely that's coming out, you and the lovely Armando Torres discuss how we base time off of BC and AD, so before Christ and after death. I feel like now we should update that, and it's before and post pandemic, because I feel like.
Yeah, it's still BC. It'd be BC and AC before COVID and after COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel AC/DC. I feel like. Okay. That's now how I delineate time. Like, it used to be, I think, like before social media and after social media, like, is how I kind of identified these very big shifts. And now I'm like, no.
Well, yeah, we have these significant cultural, 9/11 was the other one, right?
But I feel like more has shifted and changed and been highlighted now.
Yeah.
Because that was us versus them.
Sure. Well, I really also will never know, but you could always pontificate, like, what would the world have been like if 9/11 had happened with the internet today? Think about that, right? Like all the different sort of opinions and infighting that we would have seen from everybody on Twitter, and none of that existed. I mean, I remember because
it didn't exist.
Well, no, but I remember like in school, we were getting on the bus, and like our teachers gave us like some explanation, but it was very vague, and it was more or less like, your parents are going to explain this to you, what happened today. Something very bad happened in our country.
How old were you? Were you in 8th grade?
I think it was 7th. I think it was 7th grade. No, I was in 8th grade because you were in 10th grade, right?
Yeah.
It was
picture day.
I was in 8th grade. But I remember the kids who had computer lab, remember that was a class in school, computer lab, they all saw it because they had the internet, and they were on like AOL.com, like the homepage. And they were like, yeah, some building called the World Trade Center blew up or something. Like we didn't know, but yeah, and it was very interesting. That always just, I don't know why that has stuck in my mind, but the fact that, why are you making that face?
Because I was like,
just it was like a moment of like, oh, the kids who had access to the internet today knew stuff that I didn't. Like, it always just stuck in my mind, or they got information faster than me. And that was from like the old like AOL loading screen in 2001. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
we felt more.
That's also kind of that was the opportunity for CNN to create a 24-hour news cycle. That was also really when we saw the uptick of like.
But now those channels aren't even news; it's just commentary now.
Yeah, I don't even think it was news at the time. Again, there's no way, even in the most like traumatic of situations, that 24/7, 365, do you need news? There's no way that much shit's happening.
Yeah, man. I wonder it would be cool, like, to go back in time and just like live in the Old West, have a ranch.
I mean, but then that also comes with all of its own problems. You don't know that anybody's coming. You don't, it's like then all of your.
Yeah, you get bit by a snake. That's it, man. It's
done.
all over.
You're done. You toast. But
what was that voice?
It is, I don't know. It is interesting.
That was like your chiropractor lady. Remember, what was her name? Linda or something? Or
chiropractor.
Didn't you have some woman that like worked on your back or something that had like a thick New York, Long Island?
Oh, no. Who are you talking about that?
I don't know, but.
Yeah, there was somebody and like everything was just like this.
It was like Leah Remini.
Oh, Leah Remini is a chiropractor. Great sitcom.
You should write her a bit part in your new movie or pilot you're writing. She would be good in that.
That's funny.
She would. I'm telling, like, as one of the characters. I don't want to spoil anything, but one of the characters that does the competition. You got to get her a cameo in that. She would be really funny.
That's really funny. She's pretty brash. Yeah.
Dude, I love Leah Remini. I think she was so good on that show with Kevin James.
I just can't believe that I'm like, you know what else I should do? I should start this other pilot. I'm like, and that was the other thing.
Remember the flower card idea?
That's still an idea. I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to get it up and out.
I know. The thing is, if we had a little, we're almost there. These projects are cooking. When we get a little more money, we're gonna be job creators. We're gonna hire all these people to work for us.
Well, that's the thing where it's like now, all of these things that you and I have created are at that place where like they've just outgrown the bandwidth of like you and I to be able to do.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, okay, so until 2022, which is insane that it's almost June.
Yeah. And then it's almost July, and then our baby boy's here.
Dude, our kid could come in 4 weeks. Like, you recognize that, right?
He could
like,
come today.
Don't say that. Please don't say that.
I hope not. We don't even have the crib built yet.
That's we do have the crib though. Everybody calm down.
It's here.
Okay?
We don't have the car seat.
We've had
or the monitor.
That's true. Well, hopefully my dad's coming.
Papa Bert.
Papa Bert's coming.
Dude, I gotta say, if I were to try and pick my like ideal father-in-law, your dad really knocked it out of the park, man.
Yeah.
I mean, funny, reliable, no drama.
Yep.
Pretty chill, really handy. Like grandpa can fix most stuff, and if he can't, like, okay, it's like a job for like a seasoned professional anyway. Yeah, I mean, really no critiques from me.
I know my mom was like, my mom still calls my dad daddy, which she's always like, is daddy coming? And I'm like, I'm 35. I feel like we can let that ship sail. Yeah, and I felt bad because I just got too tired to take care of all those other house things that I was like, my dad's like, so what do you need me to fix? And I was like, I just have a list now. Like, I just stopped working on things in the house because, again, my bandwidth got cut in half. Yeah. We've had to do this other show. Anyway, this is Inside Baseball and nobody cares about our teams. But can you tell me your thoughts on Bill Gates and Melinda? I want to wrap that.
Well, I'm always suspicious of anyone that's that rich and powerful. It's an easy narrative to buy into that they're all evil, and I don't think that necessarily. But
what does that mean? What is that evil? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Self-interest?
Sure. It depends who you ask. No, I just think it's I don't have a fully formed opinion, but I do think it's sus that Bill Gates was so chummy with Jeffrey Epstein, only because there's no way someone as powerful as Bill Gates didn't have like deep research done on anyone he associates with.
He for sure knew what's up.
Right. So that's a little...
Even if he wasn't participating. Let's even say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, listen, you want to fuck around and be a bachelor and cheat on your wife, or how you have a deal with your wife, that's totally cool. But the line in the sand is when they're underage. Then it's like, dude, if you're one of those guys, you shouldn't be fucking around with anybody that's even questionably under 28 years old looking.
Well,
because what I'm saying is, I could imagine they were like, well, I was told they were of age. I didn't know. And it's like, but if they even kind of look like they're under 28.
But that's also why, just like, I think the no bullshit party is really going to succeed, because it's also shit like that where I'm like, no. You don't get to be and tout yourself as the smartest man on the planet.
Yeah.
And then go, oh, well, I didn't know. It's like, no.
Right.
If you are so smart that you're going to figure out how to, like, eradicate
what's
COVID or whatever, like, you're bringing like all of these systems of clean drinking water to Sudan.
Yeah.
You don't get to go, I didn't know.
What's the equivalent for women? Like, for powerful men, it's always like their egos and their libidos that basically ruin them, right? It's they succumb to the weakness of their sexual urges and their egos, like a combination.
Well,
I
think it's ego more than sexual urges. I mean, to say that like women also aren't as sexually enticed is not true.
But you don't hear a lot of stories about powerful women getting caught up in sex scandals that ruin them.
Yeah, because powerful women are so fucking happy that they have power. They have better shit to do. Like, I mean...
Yeah, like with Hillary Clinton, it was like a scandal that she may or may not have had like classified info in her email, I guess.
Well, like,
What a boring scandal.
Yeah, but Hillary Clinton is pretty boring.
Yeah.
You know?
Kamala Harris has some dirt that I'm not happy about, but we can save that for another episode. I'm already prepping all the people because there's going to be this whole wave of like, finally, a woman president. I'm going to be like, love that. Here's like 10 other women that are far better as presidents for us, that are cool, amazing, proud women that are not Kamala Harris, because fuck her.
Yeah, but also, like, did we actually think that the first woman president was going to get there on her own volition because she did things the right way? Like, no. The government, you think that they're really going to be like, here's a woman who can speak for herself and steps outside of the lines and really wants to do something good. Yeah, she's got my vote.
By the way, did you speak? This is different.
Like, of course not.
Speaking of powerful, another thing is so stupid. Yeah,
I mean, the government is just like gangs. You know how you get into a gang? You got to beat other people up or you got to kill somebody. Now you're in the gang. It's the exact same way in the government. They're like, how many bodies do you have hidden? Where are all the skeletons in your closet? Then once we know we can trust you, then maybe we'll vote for you.
You know what else is funny? And it highlights the absurdity of like the scandals that take down powerful women are just stupid. What was the Ellen scandal? She wasn't friendly. She wasn't nice. That's what ended Ellen's show.
Well, no.
She wasn't nice.
Dude, you're so right. And that's the thing where it's like, even if it was a toxic work environment, it's like, that's the thing. That's it. A toxic work environment. Do you know how many dudes run toxic work environments? And it's like, yeah, they're fine. It's called Amazon, you dumb fuck. Like, that's
so
totally
funny.
fine. But it's like, because the kindness lady,
Man,
you know,
I can't wait till we have
She's been in show business. She's 60 fucking years old. I think she's older than that now. Like, she's been in show business for a long time, and the entire show rides on her name. And you mean to tell me that there aren't some days that she came in and yelled at people because she wasn't up to par?
You know, I can't wait till we have like a young Jamie or some other producer that we hire that I'm like, hey, make this a clip and get it on YouTube with all the tags and stuff. And, you know, because that's a great clip for like the scandals that ruin men versus the scandals that ruin women.
I love that you're talking about the clip as it just happened in real time.
Because I know,
You're like, you know, it would be funny. That thing we just said 2 seconds ago.
because I with finishing highly in the stuff
I'll
for the
just
baby.
do it today. I'll do it today.
We got so much to do with the baby coming and stuff.
Yeah, he's not coming today. I can do it today.
God willing, you know.
I'm just gonna have you get Chick-fil-A for me when we leave here.
No, I think California Chicken Cafe sounds pretty enticing to me right now.
That does sound really good. But you're so right. But that
Inside baseball again.
But that, first of all, if you live in California or somewhere they've got a California, what's it called? Cafe chicken?
California Chicken Cafe. I should make
So
that a
good.
bit though, right? I should flesh that out into a bit. The scandals that ruin men versus the scandals that ruin women.
Yeah, I think it's really funny.
I like that kind of stuff that highlights when we talk about not gender disparities, but things where it's less fair.
Normatives.
Or things that are like when we're less fair to women than men. Examples like I just gave, those I like because I'm like, that is accurate, it makes sense, and it's funny, and it's interesting. I know it's like my idea, so I'm biased towards that. But that kind of shit I like more than being like, men are toxic and here's why. And it's like, you gotta give me something more. You gotta give me something interesting. You can't just be like,
Well, now you sound like that asshole who posted on my comment and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was
he's an idiot too.
I thought I was engaging with a comedian." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm ready just to post like
I mean, I just keep thinking about this. Like Brian,
I didn't know that was gonna trigger me so badly. Of
I know.
somebody being like, "Oh, I thought I was engaging with a comedian."
But remember what took down what was his name from the real morning show, not the TV show, Matt
Lauer.
Matt Lauer, yeah, he was fucking his interns, and it's like, yeah, again,
Well, he had a button underneath his desk that would lock the door, so you
Right.
couldn't even leave if you wanted to.
that's a legitimate scandal. Powerful man, clearly abusing
That's
work
not a
subordinates.
scandal. That's terrifying. That's the other thing. When we use this word scandal, we dilute real shit happening to people. And I know that we don't call them victims anymore. They're survivors. But also, like, before they survive the event, they're a fucking victim of being locked in Matt Lauer's, office. I mean, that's like terrifying. The very few times in my life where I have been isolated in a situation like that, where a man has either touched me inappropriately or, is essentially like threatening to do so,
Sure.
which is almost more terrifying and enraging because you're trying to threaten me or scare me into some sort of behavior, which I'll also tell you has happened to me not that many times in my life. And for the fact that it's happened to me as many times as it has, I could only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly appreciate how I'll never be able to understand that. Not only am I a man, but I'm probably in like the 90 percentile of men who look scary enough for like, I don't get messed with. Like I just look in a way that like I don't seem like a target. So I'll never really know what that's like. But I can imagine, and dude, I'm already wary of danger. So I can only imagine how awful. I mean, listen, it's the feeling of feeling helpless.
But that's what I'm saying is using the word scandal, I feel like makes it titillating.
Yeah.
You know, makes it like, ooh, you're going to want to read about this rather than being like, hey, let's read about how fucked up this is.
You know what?
Like,
You know what it comes down to? It's like the powerful men. They're things that ruin them. Like in this world, it's like they actually committed a crime or abused someone or did something terrible. And for the women, it's like they were difficult to be around.
But that's the thing where it's like we call women difficult to work with. It's like, oh, you mean just working with somebody? Like, sorry that you didn't like them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I'm not, and that's also not to say.
That's a great point.
But I'm also not saying that that doesn't mean that like there aren't women who are toxic or women, like we all know them. But it's just.
Yeah. There's some that we had to cut out of our life.
But I'm just saying, it's like, you know, there's a difference between that and this ongoing narrative that it's like, if there's a woman in a position of power, specifically if it's a woman of color in positions of power, where it's like, yeah, we just throw all of these words of like, oh, well, she was really difficult to work with, or, you know, she's really bitchy. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, she asked you to do your job? Like, fuck off.
Right.
Like,
yeah, you're right.
I mean, I just have such low tolerance for that and the language that we use around it, because it's like, it's not telling the truth of what the matter is. But that's why, you know, in my stand-up, I talk about emotional intelligence, where it's like, you know, well, you know, women, their periods, they can't be trusted. And it's like, dude, like, have you seen men lose their mind lately? Like, on the Senate floor? They're yelling and screaming about stuff because their ego is so big, they refuse to lose, you know?
On that note, it is almost an hour. So you want to take us out, wrap it up for this bonus hour episode we did. So we did the serious Middle East crisis stuff first. Then we did the kind of fun, more our usual style episode. LaForce, why don't you take us out, wrap it up. We're at the home stretch of your pregnancy. We're at the home stretch of finishing Highly Unlikely. What do you want the listeners to leave with this? If you made it through both hours of this week's episodes, God bless you.
Yeah. And then if you did, will you tell somebody about this podcast and make them download it? I don't know.
Can I tag on one thing you just said? Because I was listening to this other great podcast I just learned about that Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes all do. And I forget the name, I'm sorry. But the three of them hosted. It's really funny. And they were doing like a Helix sleep mattress like ad. And I was doing that. And I was like, man, I was kind of like thinking about like a few years from now when we have like legit sponsors. And I was like, I cannot wait till we get all this cool free shit that gets sent, like a free custom mattress and like all these cool things that sponsors send us. I'm just really excited about that.
I know. And you know how I know that I'm very self-aware is the second thing after, free shit, that I think is like, where am I going to put it? You know? Like, that's where it's like, now I'm going to need more closets.
Yeah.
Like, people send you stuff, you know, and then it's like, I feel like I'm already the person that when people come over, if somebody's like, oh, I like that, I'm like, do you want it? You can have it. Just take it with you. We've got a couple. You can have it. Like, I feel like I'm always trying to get rid of 1 to 3 items.
Yeah, we have
whenever people
like
come
a
over.
10-foot by 2-foot mirror that we can't get out of our house.
You know,
If you want it, if you live in LA, you can come pick it up. It's free. It's yours.
no, it's not free.
Oh, it's $50.
It's $50.
But also, if you get it out of our house, you know.
you know,
Anyway, all right. Well, that's been our bonus episode this week. Any last thoughts, LaForce?
well, you didn't tell me you wrapped that on Bill Gates. That was it. Wait, can you tell me one last thing? I don't mean to go.
I don't really have an opinion yet on Gates. I'm just suspicious of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and then we went on the tangent about scandals for men versus women.
Who can you tell me? Never mind. I wanted to hear you were going to tell me about the New York mayor who was like eating.
Oh,
Shake
yes.
Shack.
Let's end on that. This is hilarious. Okay, so Bill De Blasio, who you may or may not know, is the mayor of New York City. I want to set this up so we can hear it through the headphones, and the listeners can hear it too. So give me a second here. But just talk to us for a second, Rach, while I find this.
Okay, sorry.
What are you looking up?
There's just a couple of folks that I'm like poaching and want to work with, and anyway, they just popped up on my Instagram, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to reach back out to them. You know, because I keep saying that I'm gonna do less and less work, and yet I'm still moving forward, being like, yeah, I should reach out to them and create more work for myself. You know, that's what I should do.
But hey, man, you know, if you love it, you never work a day in your life. They tell you, right?
Yeah, but the other thing they don't tell you is that you don't get more sleep.
That's funny.
I mean, I feel like everybody keeps being like, well, rest up. I mean, once the baby's here, you're never going to sleep. And it's like the fear mongering around new parents. And I know people just want to like hear themselves talk or, you know, whatever. But I'm also, I don't know. I'm like so annoyed by that feedback now when people are like, I'm like, if you don't have something to contribute that's going to be helpful, then like, don't talk to me about it.
On that note, here is the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, trying to convince all of us to get vaccinated.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger? No. You're good to go. This can be breakfast? Okay. I want you to look at this and think about, again, some people love hamburgers, some don't. Really want to respect all ways of life. But if this is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination. I'm getting a very good feeling about vaccination right this moment.
Okay, that sounds like a sketch, right?
First of all, that's what you and I always go back and forth about. I don't know how SNL is still on the air. Like, I'm just so shocked.
The internet is so much funnier now.
But real life is funnier. Yeah. Real life is funny. There's no way you could reenact that sketch and make it funnier because Phil is not a showman, okay? Despite being a politician.
Just a goofy. That guy's like 6'5". He's just like a big, goofy
That's
nerd.
right. Yeah, it was like he's already, oh my, that is so funny.
And it's also, okay, it's like, and you and I are both pro-vaccine. If you feel like it's right and safe for you, we encourage that. But make your own choices. But just the idea that in a health crisis, he's trying to bribe people with burgers and fries, the optics of that.
But that's what I'm saying about this whole thing, where everybody who's like yelling and screaming about like, you don't trust science if you don't want to get the vaccine, or you don't like believe medical professionals, and that, you know, the government's trying to keep us safe. And I'm like, no. First of all, if the government and big pharma as a whole was trying to keep us safe, we wouldn't have been in this business to begin with. The narrative would have been completely fucking different. We would have immediately like put together all sorts of like, you know, they should have put together like keep yourself healthy like packets or something, and it comes with like different types of vitamin D, a list of all of the foods you should be eating,
at-home workout routine tips,
all of that stuff, and you could go to any local hospital and pick up a bag. That would have even at least been like a signaling of like that we care about you and your health.
My favorite part of that video is he had to like do the qualifier of like, I know some folks don't like burgers, but if you like burgers,
he
had to like apologize to like the vegans.
But like that, but then also like you could tell that he didn't really like that burger. Like if that was first thing in the morning, who knows how long that burger's been sitting out?
It's probably cold. And,
you know? And he's like, oh, let me call off camera.
And also
to my side guy.
Why did he have to eat it? He could have just announced that they cut a deal with Shake Shack.
But he was also eating both of those things like they were completely unappetizing. I've never seen anyone eat fries like that. Just like a 1-2 bite and then just kind of holding them.
Yeah.
Like I was like, dude.
All right. Anyway, we got to wrap it up. On that note, I've been Alex Gettlin.
I've been Rachel LaForce. Guys, if you like this, we're typically here live streaming every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. But, you know, we're tired. There's a baby coming. So catch us when you can. But we do have new episodes out every Monday. So you can always download those. You can go to our Skewed Orbit website. Nope. Skewed Orbit YouTube. There you go. And you can watch all of these. So if you do want to watch them, you can do that. We've got a bunch of new clips coming out, and I'm sure once our other show wraps, we will be back up and running. But you guys, thank you so much. Be good to yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay off the internet. Go for a walk. I've been Rachel LaForce.
I'm an Alex Gettlin.
See you next week.